status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. The foundation leads the fight. The warriors lead the tribe. When the beat drops and the spirits rise, we find the truth behind the disguise. They want us to go away, only our hearts do we obey. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. No ranks, no chains, just unity. One tribe, one light, one destiny. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Bucking the status quo. We gonna buck the status quo. Oh, bucking the status quo.
What's up, party people? How's it going out there? Irreverent Warriors, Grunt Style Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us back today in the studio. It's so good to be in the studio. And of course, it's a beautiful day because when Will and I get together, it's always gorgeous outside. So odd and fantastic. But joined by Will Wisner as Executive Director, Grunt Style Foundation, and Brian Pichelle, who is the Executive Director of Dogs for Our Brave. So thank you so much for joining us today, Brian. I can't wait to get into the therapy and the support that animals provide, and talking about that, when it comes to veterans and the emotional struggles they feel and being able to have something that supports them. But before we get into Dogs for the Brave, I wanted to talk a little bit about you personally. I'd love to share with our listeners a little bit more about your background and your history. I know, I would love to put your brother on the spot and make him cringe a lot.
That would be highly entertaining.
Yeah, because
I don't know if this podcast is ready for two Pichelles.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're.
How did your mom fare?
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, so Brian's brother, Jeff, was in my platoon when I was a platoon sergeant in the Marine Corps, and his brother was a lance corporal and a corporal under me, and just a phenomenal Marine. And so by default, I assume that you are a phenomenal human as well, but I know that you were in the Army. I did want to make your
just slides that in
there. Yeah. Which is funny. We should talk about why you guys joined different branches, but your brother was a phenomenal Marine, and a couple of the things that stood out to me was his integrity, his enthusiasm, his work ethic, and every combat deployment that he had the opportunity to volunteer for, he volunteered. He was the first guy to put his hand in the air, and it was pretty funny. A couple of them, because we were in an infantry battalion, and there was lots of different combat deployments going on during the surge time frame in probably 2005 to 2007, something like that. And he would volunteer, and then they would come along and say, because he was a radio operator tech. Yep. So he was a radio operator, plus he knew how to fix the radios. And they would come, and he was in my platoon because I was a radio operator myself, and so I had the radio operator platoon in an infantry battalion. And then he would volunteer, and then they would come and say, well, actually, no, we're only taking radio operators for this deployment to Afghanistan or Iraq. And he'd be like, but I'm a radio operator, plus I can fix the radios. And they're like, yeah, but the numbers that we're supposed to have this number, and you have this number, so we can't take you. And it was just the funniest thing in the world. It was like, they're not taking the guy.
Conversations about it.
Yeah, it's like the guy that's overqualified to not just man the radios, but fix the radios. They would just be like, no, we need an actual guy that can only just operate the radio. Like, what?
It doesn't make sense.
It's military logic, man.
Yes.
If the book says it has to be this way, then that's the way it's got to be.
Yes, absolutely. And to make him cringe even more when he watches this, I want to tell a really good, embarrassing story.
Oh,
and
I'm intrigued by this.
Yes, this is the irreverent. This is the irreverent humor you get
This is the loyalty Hugh had to his platoon mates. Bust his buddy out to his older brother.
I'm going to change a name here. There is somebody that I'm going to protect. So one night we're out at we're doing cold weather training, or we're doing mountain warfare training in California, and the whole infantry battalion's out there, and we're humping/hiking across 40 miles over a course of days, and then over across the mountains, drinking from streams and carrying all of our radio gear, all of our weapons, everything, making sure that the rifle companies that are in contact with the enemy in the valleys are able to talk with one another by retransmitting their radio signals, right? So we have this long, arduous, sleep-deprived training evolution of 4 or 5 days or whatever, and we get back to our little base camp, and they told us, hey, smoking lamps lit, alcohol lamps lit, you guys are able to go to the little store, buy some alcohol, have a good time, right? So we go fucking nuts. We are going really hard in the alcohol. And we all go back to our hooch, and we've got bunk beds. And some people have to go to bed earlier than others. And so, your brother and his rack mate, who we will change the name to make sure he doesn't get embarrassed. We'll say his name was Porter, but the guy in the bunk above your brother, they both go to bed, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the, there's some people still awake, some people are sleeping, and we just hear this trickle of water pouring down from, it sounds like there's like a hole in the ceiling or something, and your brother's like, what the fucking fuck, man? That's my fucking pack. What the hell's going on, man? And, everyone flips on all the lights, and it turns out his rack mate above him was so overserved that he just, the only thing he could do was roll over and just
let her fly.
Take a piss off the side of the bed.
Let it
Why
fly
not?
all over your brother's stuff.
That's amazing.
All over your brother's stuff. So
I have a challenge going for that guy. We need
yeah.
offline. We'll go ahead and find out who that is.
Yes, and it gets better. So I mean, your brother we had to separate him. Your brother goes absolute ape shit nuts. And in the infantry battalions in the Marine Corps, we had the 7 Ps. I don't know if you guys had this in the Army, but we had the 7 Ps.
Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
That's right. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So within our platoon to this day, we have 9 Ps. The 9 Ps of cutting loose on the weekends. Proper prior planning prevents Porter pissing Pilsner on Pichel's pack. So yeah, that's why I love your brother. But and I love his wife, his wonderful wife too.
Great.
Yes, fantastic guy. I was very lucky to have served with him in the Marine Corps, and it's awesome to be able to work with you. And
full circle.
Yes, full circle. So I want to talk a little bit about you joining the Army. Which one of you joined the military first?
He joined first.
And he went Marine Corps, so you obviously had to say, I'm not doing that. I gotta go Army.
Honestly, it wasn't that.
Okay.
So when I decided to enlist, there was one thing I knew I wanted to do, and I was going to be a medic. That was it. Like, I was going to be a medic, clear cut. That's all I wanted to do.
Not a corpsman, or you just saying like you...
Medical field.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do. It was 2004 when I decided I was going to enlist, and I was an old guy at that point.
There was a lot. That was when it was popping.
Yep.
I think the U.S. KIAs in April of 2004, when the first Battle of Fallujah started, when I was there with our unit, 130 guys and gals were killed that month.
It was triple digits.
And every month was hundreds killed. And people don't remember back to like, whoa, 100 plus killed per month. And then what was that? 1,000 wounded, maybe amputees a month.
Absolutely.
It was through the roof. And you joined in the middle. You heard about this and you're like, I got to go.
Well, I was coaching in college. I'm a volleyball guy. That's why I grew up, playing the sport, played in college, and then started coaching collegiately. 9/11 happened. And then, I'm not married. I don't have kids. And it's that moment in time where it's like, this is my duty, like, to step up and serve. Like, I think this is my responsibility as a young man, a young American. This is what I should do. And that's obviously a big decision, especially knowing what we were, we're at 2 fronts on that point. So ultimately.
And you chose not to go officer.
Correct.
When you could have.
Yes.
I had the
and there's a reason why.
I had the same decision point.
So the recruiting aspect of things, I went into the Navy first. And I talked to the naval recruiter, and to this day, like that, I mean, the guy was awesome. And very upfront. Again, I was an older guy. You weren't going to pull I'm not some 18-year-old walking in there that you can just tell whatever. So I said, look, here's a situation. I want to serve as a corpsman. Can I have it put into my contract that you can guarantee that I'll be assigned to a Marine Corps unit? Because I didn't want to go to a hospital. I didn't want to go to a ship. Like, I wanted to go boots on the ground. Like, if I'm going to be a medic, I know where the action is and I know where I need to be. And the guy was very straightforward. He's like, there's no way we can guarantee where you're going to end up. He's like, we can put it in your contract, but it doesn't mean anything. So I had to make a decision at that point. I'm like, all right, well, do I want to take a chance on ending up on a ship or, in the hospital or, Army-wise, solid chances as a medic, you're going to be boots on the ground. So I went right next door to the Army recruiter. Literally, I walked out of the Navy recruiter, went right into the Army recruiter. That turned into an ordeal because my ABSAB scores and where I was with degrees and whatnot were high enough that he's like, oh, I only have a slot for PSYOPs. And I'm like, oh, of course you do. I'm like, again, 2004, knowing the situation, I'm like, you don't have a need for medics right now. He's like, I don't have any slots right now, but I have a slot for PSYOPs. I said, okay, well, this isn't something I have to do. So I guess let me know when you have a slot.
Call me when you have that.
Let me know when you have a slot for a medic. I leave. Less than an hour later, he calls me.
So what you're saying is it's similar to buying a used car?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm like, oh, shocking. Like now there's a slot. So yeah, that's how I ended up.
Yeah, turns out those guys lie.
Shocking.
You know? Isn't
Yeah.
that something?
Well, I knew a little bit of the game
Yeah.
at that point. That's why I was like, I'm not, I get it. PSYOPs, whatever.
I mean, I don't hold it against them. If I was a recruiter, I'd be lying my ass
Well,
off.
you got to get people into like
you
it's
bet.
part of their
They're rated on it,
responsibility.
man.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like, yeah, you're going to bend and break every rule there is.
If they
get
want to
that
end
done.
up, being promoted and move on and get out of the recruiting aspect, like they got to hit their numbers, otherwise they get hammered on. So I get it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't playing that game.
I don't feel bad that they lied to me now.
No.
It's a crazy game. Well, but, all right, let's take real quick. We're going to do a commercial break, basically for Stacy. We've got calling in from Indiana, who is one of our IW leaders. She's got a wellness retreat coming up that we're going to talk about a little bit, and then we're going to get into your Army career.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. So let's get Stacy pulled up here. I can't wait to talk to her. I know I was just with you at Combat Outpost IW, our leadership conference out in Indiana. It was fantastic seeing you. It was fantastic having you be a part of the leadership team that put that together for everyone. How you doing? How you recovering this week?
I'm doing great. Loving on people heals me. So this past week is exactly what my heart needed. And I'm really excited about our upcoming retreat because, same thing. Loving people heals me a little bit every single time. So I love getting to love on our community.
Wonderful. Tell us what people can expect if they go to this Silkies retreat in Indiana. And it's May 15th, right?
Yeah. So 17th at McCormick State Park in Spencer, Indiana. It's kind of central Indiana. And we have so many good things going on. So Flourish Integrative Health is coming to do massage therapy and acupressure with ear seeds, which is known to have positive benefits on PTSD and anxiety and stress. So we're really excited about those components. They're also a community provider for the VA. So if you're local in the area and need help with that process, they can also assist with that process through the VA to get care. We also have integrative music psychotherapy coming to do music therapy. Gateway Tension and Trauma Release, which specializes in tension and trauma release exercises, which is it activates the body's natural tremor mechanism to help with your nervous system and also helps with sleep and different things. Of course, we're going to be doing breath work and cold plunge because we love those things.
Yeah, we were just
and then
doing
we
that last weekend. All of us were just doing that last weekend, the breath work. A lot of people were saying that they experienced like leaving the planet during the breathwork exercises. Like they were able for the first time to meditate and kind of leave their, kind of forget everything that's happening here and be able to like go to this place of unconditional love. It was really cool hearing everybody after the breathwork class share that. And of course the cold plunge is the not just the physical benefits. I know everybody after the cold plunges we did last weekend, everybody was talking about, I can touch my toes. Oh my gosh, the pain in my shoulder that's been there for a year is subsided for the first time. There were just so many physical benefits, but then also people were talking about the ability to surrender and kind of push through the panic attack that occurs, during the cold plunge for some people. And it allowed them to view panic attacks from a completely different lens, which I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Yes, and Matt Skelly does an amazing job with Ed teaching the breath work and actually how you utilize it in the cold plunge, because you can control a lot of things with breath work. It can help with anxiety, stress, PTSD, all kinds of different things. And there's so many different types of breath work you can do to help re-regulate your system. I actively use breath work in my daily life. So I'm a huge fan of breath work. But true breath work is the only reason I can get through the cold plunge. And they say doing hard things makes doing hard things easier. I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, sign me up for the cold plunge. I still hate them, but I do them because they're so beneficial to your mental health and physical health. As someone who suffers from autoimmune disease and a lot of inflammation, the cold plunges are very necessary in my life. But I still hate them. So, but I can do hard things, and I use the breath work to get through those and to ground myself during those and kind of push through those uncomfortable moments during the cold plunge. So,
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, we look forward to your retreat. How can people get there? I know, of course, they can go to irreverentwarriors.org and find it very easily, but tell us
yeah.
more.
So we do have it on our main page. We also have it on IW Vincent's Facebook page and IW Indianapolis Facebook page. And really, they can reach out to either coordinator set and get connected. We do have scholarships available. So if there's a financial barrier, it is not a barrier. We work really hard with our donors to be able to provide free opportunities when needed for veterans. So please don't hesitate to reach out for a scholarship. We'll give you a scholarship code because we never want financial barriers to be a barrier to get the healing and modalities that can be helpful. And the best part about the weekend, outside of learning modalities, is actually connecting with other veterans and expanding your circle of support. That's an important component to everything we do in IW. So we want to make sure you're well connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always great hearing from you. It's wonderful to hear what's happening in Indiana, IW Vincennes. So thanks, everybody. Check out that retreat. That's a great way to heal, especially if you want to kind of get out of your head, get away from your phone, and connect with nature. Thank you, Stacy.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, so we're back with Brian and Will talking about Dogs for Our Brave, and I want to talk a little bit about you walked us through the decisions leading up to you joining the Army. You end up joining the Army. You said you ended up getting chopped to an engineer unit, a route clearance unit, and then deployed to Baghdad. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Awesome. And then
first off,
yep.
I got you cut into that stuff. That's why I love you guys. I love the struggles within the veteran community are so complex.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Like, there's no one entity that's going to fix this, but the amount of arms that you guys have and the amount of impact that you have and the amount of people that you connect with across the country, I love watching you guys work and all the work that you're doing behind the scenes. And I just have a lot of respect for everything you guys are doing. I'm just so appreciative as a veteran. It's inspiring to me to continue to push and do what I'm doing with Dogs for Our Brave, whatnot. And I know there's a lot of other veterans that I have conversations with. So there's listening to her speak and finding different ways to serve more veterans.
We're building
awesome.
We're building a new
It's
future.
awesome.
We're building a new future, and the funny thing is, we're building what's actually needed.
Yep.
It's not all going to be solved with pharmaceuticals, and it's not all going to be solved by official healthcare degreed professionals. Peer support, holistic modalities, animals. I mean, these are all things that we've known for tens of thousands of years. Will's always telling me, we're not doing new stuff. We're bringing back the old stuff.
Yep.
That's right.
Dogs are like the very first animal friends that humans ever had, right?
40,000 years ago.
They alerted us, they protected us, right? Yep. So all of this is just going back to our roots that we as humans have chosen to forget, and now it's time because we've followed a lot of those paths to us solving our own problems with our mind, and I'm going to build all these things in a laboratory, and they're going to fix all my human problems. The planet already has a lot to these solutions.
Yeah. Well, and it's the veterans taking the lead, I think, is the most
empowered.
That's the most impactful piece of it.
Yeah.
The Vietnam guys didn't have that opportunity because the voice wasn't there.
Right.
And there wasn't the support behind it.
You didn't have social media to be able to to have every voice count.
The fact that we can come out now and openly talk about what occurred over the past 20 plus years of Iraq and Afghanistan.
What's not
talking
working
about it and why were we even there? And openly having these conversations. And then how are we going to heal from this? And talking, it is very complex, but the amount of veterans that are getting involved, we're problem solvers. And we're like, screw it. If entities that are supposed to be helping us heal and recover and move forward in our lives aren't going to do it, we'll do it ourselves.
That's right.
We'll do it ourselves.
Yeah.
We're smart. We're capable. If we can go over and fight and handle the tough situations that we were in, and those of us that have come out on the other side, let's get to work.
Yeah.
So just needed to say that.
Well,
And say thank you guys.
Thank you for your kind words, man, and thank you for seeing us. We really do appreciate that. It means a lot, especially from somebody that's also out there, in the trenches, swinging big and making big impacts in the community, like you. And after we get done with our story about blowing stuff up, that's going to put us on the road to have this conversation about healing,
For sure.
Yeah, totally.
Then we'll talk about how you're healing veterans after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was I got assigned to 5th Engineer Battalion, ironically, in Fort Leonard Wood. So in all of my duty stations, I'm
of course.
I get my
You're going
assignment,
home.
and I'm like, really?
Wow.
Now, with all my coaching and whatnot, I traveled all over the country, so I'm like, whatever, I don't really care as long as. But my concern was, I'm like, all right, I'm going to 5th Engineer, or I'm going to Fort Leonard Wood. There can't be many deployable units there.
Yeah.
I ended up in one of 2
Nice.
deployable units. The MP was the other unit. So
Okay.
I ended up with 5th Engineers.
You're almost guaranteed that, man. Brand new medic, lower enlisted, male. Yeah, you're going to the line, man.
Yep, which was fine. That's where I
that's
wanted to be
you wanted
anyways.
to go. You bet.
So
Which division was in charge when you went to Baghdad?
4th ID.
Okay.
So we got there. So I ended up newest medic, but I was an old guy, and my the senior medic on staff, he was an E6. I ended up being sent on Advon. I'd only been in the unit for like 3 months, and he's like, our medic staff was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it was nine line medics, and then our NCOIC, and we were a tight unit. And thank God they were squared away, and I learned a ton from them, and we all learned a ton from each other because we had a rough deployment. Route clearance.
You said
and
2005, 2006?
2005, 2006.
And you were there, when were you
I
there?
was there from March 07 until May 08.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Got
came
it.
in right on the heels of us.
My unit was OIF 3 with 3rd ID. I think you said they were there and then were relieved by 1st. Was it?
3rd ID
Before?
started, the first couple months, I want to say till December or January. 3rd ID was in charge. 4th ID came in right afterwards. So initially we did fall under 3rd ID.
Yeah.
But our area responsibility was literally all of Baghdad.
Highways?
Highways, side roads. We did some work with, we'd go do sweeps for the 101st prior to them going, if they found, VBID factories, whatnot, we'd sweep for them, and spent a lot of time in the Triangle of Death and sweeping
Oh,
through
dude,
there.
you did Tampa?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
we were on
we-
Tampa a
we
lot.
got hit-
Tampa, Irish, Checkpoint
Yeah.
50 Alpha.
Oh, dude,
like
we
you
got
name
hit
it.
by 3 IEDs in that exact area of Triangle of Death.
Yeah, they sent it because again we didn't. So they called us a division asset. So they literally sent us
Everywhere. Yeah.
Like we went all the way down south. You name it, I probably saw it.
And you were in a Humvee or you were in a MRAP?
No, we were in RG-31s.
Okay, so
They
So
didn't have
RGs
MRAPs
and
at that
Buffaloes.
time.
Nope.
MRAPs
MRAPs
didn't
came
come
out
out
towards the
till 08.
end.
Okay.
Yeah.
EOD had the MRAPs.
Probably a little earlier.
A few of them.
Yeah, that
But there
makes
weren't many. The night that I got hit by the EFP, I got picked up in an MRAP.
Oh, really?
I was in the back of one, and it was gnarly because those things are huge.
Tell us about that. Did your whole vehicle got?
Well, yes, that was September of 06.
Okay.
We had activity right off the bat.
And we lost. Your brother and I lost a very good mutual friend in February of that exact 3 months later.
Yeah, Jeff and I had a lot of conversations about that. But we lost our first guy. We got there in October of 05. And we were running missions, and again, being Advon, and then my platoon ended up being the first platoon within the battalion to start running missions out there. So we're getting swept up in everything and understanding what we're doing. We lost our first guy on December 26th, 2005, Sergeant Coles. That was actually a coordinated attack by they believe it was Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It was Checkpoint 50 Alpha. We got hit by multiple areas. Actually, my vehicle got hit first with an RPG. Luckily, no injuries. Saw 2 guys hop out from behind a alleyway behind a big pile of rocks and start unloading their AKs on my windows, from 50 yards away. I'm just watching these rounds ping off my window. I'm like, "Hey, Sergeant, I don't know what else to say, but I'm like, these guys are trying to kill me. We should go." And I was in the rear, right? Because I'm the medic, right? So I'm with the platoon sergeant. But yeah, they got Sergeant Coles on the when we flipped around and went another direction. So they were coordinated on all 4 corners. That was a bad day. That was a bad day. That day haunts me way more than any other day that we had while we were there. But a lot of heavy IED activity while we were there. We were I say this, but the fact that we only lost 4 was kind of shocking. We sent a lot home with significant injuries, amputees, whatnot, but had great leadership. A lot of sappers in the unit and fortunately, a lot of NCOs that served over in Bosnia, whatnot, so had some combat experience and knew, how to handle themselves in those moments. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have gotten real ugly.
Yeah, Will was joined in the 90s, and your first MOS before you went infantry was medic, right?
I was a medic originally. Yeah, it was my first MOS.
Yeah, and you deployed as a medic to Korea, right?
No, Korea was a scout. I was in Panama. I was in Egypt. We did the MFO mission in '97 as a medic. We did lots of rotations. 10th Mountain, my God, they just come back from Somalia. They did Haiti, Bosnia, Kosovo, Egypt, and then 9/11.
Some of the guys
and
I
then we
served
went
with
straight into that, man.
I had several guys that I served with were 10th Mountain guys.
Yeah,
They were NCOs.
Army All-Star all through the 90s.
Yeah.
Go.
And thank God for it, because we had guys with leadership experience in those moments that made crucial calls that we know for a fact save lives. So I'm forever grateful for that leadership and being around a lot of those guys. I mean, it was a hell of a deployment, to say the least. And being a medic and understanding that responsibility, which like it.
Yeah, I
knew what I was coming in. Like, that's why I wanted to do it. I knew it was going to be hard, but I also knew there was a massive amount of responsibility in there. So walking in and understanding, like, I better be on point, because when shit hits the fan, they're going to be calling for Doc.
Yes.
And I got to know what the hell I'm doing. And
you guys are trained so good, man.
It's unbelievable.
I was the bonus medic for my platoon whenever we were just like, it was just bad enough that I had to get involved. And, I went to the combat medic course in 1993. So these guys that are our actual medics for our platoon are amazingly trained, man. I mean, they're like just under PAs.
We can do a lot of things.
Yeah. And I'm
out in the field
from
and stopping bleeding and tourniquet game on point. I mean, just no hesitation. Immediately know exactly what tool to pull out of where and what to do with it. I've seen that.
You guys are good, man. It was like I really felt like I was Fred Flintstone trying to pull out my
I'm sure
trauma shears that were made from a pterodactyl or something.
Well,
and to hang with you guys.
We were fortunate enough that once we got in country, I ended up linking up with. It was some type of special operations unit running out of one of Saddam's castles over on Biop. But we were able to go spend some time with them on one of the days, and they took us out to their range, which was pretty fun because they had everything under the sun to fire. But more importantly,
including captured weapons.
Yes, for sure. But the medics took me back, and they showed me some pretty high speed stuff on how they operate. They actually went out on some missions with us, and they were like, "You guys are crazy. You route clearance dudes are like." Because it is gnarly rolling around in those vehicles. I mean, you feel like you're rolling around in a coffin, to be quite honest.
It's different because special ops guys don't ever go out to intentionally be the prey to get attacked. The route clearance guys, because in the Marine Corps we had the same thing where it's like, we're going to have to flip this around, and one of the squads is just going to have to slowly drive through this village and be the magnet that attracts all the flies. And that is very odd because we're all trained in conventional warfare. You never do. And that's the dumbest strategy ever, right? But with insurgents that are in the civilian population, that's how you get them out, right?
We got to weed them out somehow because they're not jumping out and showing who they are. So a lot of stress there.
Yeah.
Just rolling around every single day.
That tension, that
you
just
know, right?
waiting for
saying,
contact.
The saying was, it's like, it's not if you get blown up, it's when. Like, it's coming. You're going to get hit, especially at that time. Like, I think, my platoon alone, we found 76-something IEDs. That's what we found. And then on top of that, how many times we got hit, I don't even know.
Did you ever get to that point? And I'm sure you got to this point too when you're leaving the wire. I got to this point in Ramadi where I guess, surrendered to death in a way where I was basically like, well, I'm already dead, so it doesn't really matter. I can just enjoy this experience. You go numb. And then Will and I, in order to make our way through life through tons of rock bottoms, we ended up in the role we're in today because we now are able to meet people hitting rock bottom or on their way or whatever, and we're able to say, truly, I get it. you know?
Yeah.
And what was your post-deployment experience, or what? I mean,
Well, that's-
it's now been
so after
20 years,
Yeah,
right? So
which is we
I
just
know.
had May 4th was we lost 3 guys on May 4th in 2006, so we just had our 20th anniversary for
Damn.
those guys. That was bad. That's a gnarly story. But you know, after Sergeant Coles was killed, that's when I realized, like, I just shut it all off, and I went stone cold. I had no emotions, nothing.
we just,
It's just a robot.
but I think we
Because you have to in order to move through the rest. I mean, we still had a year left, well, roughly, right?
Yeah.
10 months in our deployment. And I'm like,
yeah.
I can't, I'm a emotional guy. I'm a passionate guy. I love, like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. That's how I coach and, you know, the youth sports and whatnot.
Same.
Like,
Same.
but in that scenario, it's like, you got to shut it all off.
But the thing
And
is
you can't
but
flip that switch back on. And that's where I really struggled when we came back.
yeah, let's talk about the when you say shutting it off. Were we shutting it off, or were we actually just building pressure and burying and locking a
We
door?
thought we were shutting it off.
We shot. Yes,
Exactly
Talk,
right.
It's
talk
all
about
there.
that. Talk about that. Yes.
So, you know, I get hit with that EFP in September. Very lucky. It was actually daisy chained. Our lead vehicle got hit. One of our gunners was injured. I was actually in the Buffalo that night. We were a block north of Solder City. And ironically, there was an IP checkpoint right up the road.
That's ground zero.
Not surprising.
Ground zero right
Yeah.
there.
So I actually saw it as we were rolling up. We're doing our scans, and I saw the wire, and it was like glowing. And I'm like, Iron Claw, stop! And as soon as our driver hit the brakes, I mean, I can close my eyes. I still see the fireball coming right at my face. But ripped off the front of the Buffalo, blew our engine out. It hit one of the rounds went directly over my window. There was actually copper residue through the RPG cage and directly over our window, which I didn't find out until a few days later.
Yeah, it's an EFP.
With it was 100% an EFP.
yeah, absolutely.
That's
but
what
it-
that's
it-
what
it
that's
being
what
in
killed our.
Buffalo,
Yeah, the EFP killed our one of our really
it's a
good
killer.
friends.
I mean, you get hit with an EFP, it's guaranteed that the vehicle is going to be on fire and there's going to be people that die.
Yep.
I don't know who was watching.
It
well,
missed
I
you.
know who was watching
It
over that
barely
night, but
missed.
like
Yep.
I shouldn't have walked away from that.
Nope.
So I got knocked out, got thrown into the back of the vehicle. Being in the Buffalo, I literally did a flip, knocked me out for. They estimated probably around 20 to 30 seconds. I just remember the fireball and then being shaken by Staff Sergeant Evans, like, Doc, you good? I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, how's the rest of the vehicle? I ended up performing aid on our gunner in the first vehicle. I was concussed as all get out. Like, I actually climbed out the back of the Buffalo, and I'm climbing down the ladder, and I'm like, it's middle of the night. It was like, you know, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I feel really light. I'm missing something. I climbed back up. I'm like, I didn't have my aid bag.
Well,
So
yeah,
I walked back in. I climbed, I opened the door, like, Doc, you good? I'm like, yeah, I forgot. They're like, are you sure you're good? I'm
Might
like,
have been a little
I'm good.
concussed. right
I
there,
was
yeah.
very concussed. I walk up to the vehicle.
We had probably no awareness for
him-
your safety at all.
None.
You're
I
just
had no
like
clue.
I remember after some of the IEDs would go off and people are just wandering around.
you just-
like
I know where my guy is. I know where I need to go treat him. He actually had his finger pretty much blown off. I repaired that. Did a little buddy taping. Going back to my coaching days, I'm like, I'll buddy tape this up and then we'll wrap it up and we're good to go. Took care of him and they're like, you good, Doc? I'm like, no. So I went outside the truck and I started to vomit for like the next
Oh my
couple
God,
hours.
dude. Have you done like hyperbaric?
Oh, I was
or
concussed.
anything since
I
then?
was probably way more concussed than what I realized, but ended up broke the tip of my clavicle, which I wouldn't find out until months later. Tore my rotator cuff because I landed on my left side and had some slip disc and whatnot. But all in all, come on, getting hit with an EFP like that, I'll take that all day.
Service connected.
yeah,
0%.
not service connected.
The back wasn't, shockingly, right?
Really?
Like, no, they wouldn't get.
What?
I even had to go through physical therapy while I was there.
You're
While
surprised.
going on mission.
Will, you're surprised.
that gnarly?
Oh, yeah, what are you?
It's-
Are you at 100?
No,
Well,
I'm in the middle of HLR right now
okay. I was gonna say, well, let's get that
because my
fixed.
PTS still is at 30.
Well, okay, let's get this fixed, man. Come talk to me.
Shane and I have talked. Wilkinson's helped me out, and Shane's
Shane's good.
Shane's
Yeah,
good.
Shane's good. Yeah, I can introduce you to some guys too, man.
But it is what it is. But yeah, the struggle afterwards, I got out, and great chain of command. I know not everybody has the same experience, but man, my chain of command they were awesome. They were so supportive. And when we got hemmed up real good in that deployment, but upon coming home, most of the other medics either ETS'd or PTS'd almost immediately because we knew we were going back. I hid my issues pretty well for the first couple months. The nightmares were terrible. They were terrible. I really didn't sleep much for a couple months. But on top of that, with everybody else PCSing and ETSing, I was essentially the battalion medic, senior medic, almost instantly within a couple months after coming back as an E4 promotable.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much running the battalion from a medical point of view.
So lots of pressure.
Yes, but I kind of enjoyed it at that point, and I was confident in what I was doing. But we were in a meeting one day, and first sergeant said something, and I snapped, and raised my voice again. E4 promotable in a big staff meeting, but the respect that I guess I had earned from a lot of those guys, nobody reacted. But my office was right next door to first sergeant, so the meeting ends. And Top just he grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, Doc, why don't you come in the office for a few minutes? Let's talk." So I sat down and closed the door. And he's like, "Have a seat." And he just looked at me. He's like, "What's going on?" And that was the first time I'd cried. And I broke down. I said, "I'm a mess. Like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. The nightmare, blah, 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 blah." So that was the first time I acknowledged how badly I was struggling. They took great care of me, got me into counseling. I had great care down there. I was one of the first to go through the EMDR training at Fort Leonard Wood.
Nice.
There was one counselor there that was EMDR certified, and she was my counselor.
Nice.
Barbara Welch. I will never forget that name. She did phenomenal work with me while I was down there.
Wonderful.
And honestly, without that work, I don't know if I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of your journey really can help you open your eyes to alternatives,
Yes,
right?
yes.
When did you first start working with animals?
3 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So when I got out, I ended up being medically retired. I had applied to PA program. I was accepted. Again, chain of command, great support. They're like, "Doc, what do you?" They held me off that next deployment because our battalion commander was like, "You're good. Like, we're going to keep you back. If you feel like you're ready to come over, come over." But I was a mess. I was terrified of getting over there and freaking out. And again,
Dropping the ball. Yeah.
I know what that means. You know what that means, right? Like if I drop the ball, somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. And that's what scared me the most. It wasn't me getting injured or being killed. It was not being able to do my job.
I was paralyzed by anxiety as well for a while.
Awful. And that's, ironically, when they diagnosed me with chronic severe anxiety due to combat PTSD, I kind of giggled. I'm like, that's not real. Like, he's just trying to do me a favor, right? He's just trying to do me a solid. It took about 5 or 6 years later after I got out where I was like, oh shit, I actually have a lot of problems. Like, I'm a mess.
Well, the good news is it's only 30%.
Yeah, it's only 30%. It's fine. It's totally dissipated 20 years later. Like, I never deal with it.
Acceptance.
Every single day.
These clowns.
Acceptance is key. Acceptance is key.
It was a journey for sure. And my brother saw some of the worst of my relapses. And, I battled with some alcohol. There was a lot of masking going on. Like, what can I do to mask it? Luckily coaching.
Distracting.
Well, I poured my heart and soul into coaching, which, there are worse things you could have poured your heart and soul into.
For sure.
But I knew why I was doing it. And I would just spend enormous amounts of time away from home. And so it has absolutely been a process to get to where I am today. And several years ago, you get COVID and all the craziness that's going on in the world and in our country, and just I felt a calling to do something different. Despite the fact that being a coach and spending time with youth boys from 10 years old to 18 years old, and I loved being in the gym with them and training them and challenging them and using a lot of my own struggles, right? Not outwardly with them, but just urging them to push through the hard times and being able to be mentally tough and what it means to be a part of a team. And I really enjoyed that. I loved it thoroughly. But but I knew I needed to do something different. It was something pulling at me.
Get that warrior's restless spirit,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That warrior's restless spirit pulls you back into the service with the camaraderie, and that's what scratches that itch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, speaking of that, we've got a actual video for Dogs for Our Brave that we were wanting to show to kind of tee up the conversation around what you're doing and how wonderful your organization is. So we'll get that video here going pretty quickly.
This is not a situation of, hey, grab a dog. We'll figure it out. There's so much behind the scenes that goes in to get to the pairing process.
Dogs for Our Brave is a non-profit organization located in St. Louis, Missouri. We rescue dogs and train them to be service dogs for wounded veterans at no cost to them. So what that really means is they are getting a service dog that they do not have to pay a penny for. There's no financial burden whatsoever on our veterans. We're working with something that we're training to be a medical tool that it's a living, breathing creature, and it has a mind of its own, and they have emotions. When the veteran comes to town, the ultimate goal is looking at how each dog works with this veteran as a team. We take the time to really break down what we're seeing and really lean on our knowledge base that we have as a training team and lean on Brian's knowledge that he has on the veteran side.
My job is to make sure that I'm building that relationship with the veteran up until we get to that pairing process so that I know that veteran in and out. I know what they really are going to need out of our service dog. Also the areas that I can challenge them in, right? But when it gets into the pairing process itself, I would have already relayed that information to Bridget and the training staff so that when they do come in, we already have a sense of, okay, this dog, and this dog are potentially going to be a fit. We're going to introduce these dogs, and then we go from there.
But really watch how these two individuals are working together. How are they communicating? Are they picking up on each other? So I'm probably looking at who the dog is while Brian's looking at who the veteran is. And so we try to align that as best we can to get in the best possible match.
You know, everything we're doing, it's like, okay, where can we be better there, right? How can we make this, how can we make this process better? How can we make this process better? Because at the end of the day, it's about putting our veteran in a position to succeed with that service dog. So I really would just love for people to understand and recognize that as beautiful as it is, right? When you see the end result and you get to see the veteran and the service dog working together, it seems like mad. It's like, oh man, that's incredible. It's like, yeah, it's even more incredible when you get to see all the hard work that goes in behind the scenes by all the parties involved to make those moments.
So, wow. So I never thought of this before, but it's kind of like a marriage. You've got to find a good match between the animal and the human.
There is
because it's much
so
closer
much
than
to
a pet.
unpack
Yeah, it's so different than a pet because a pet is just around, right? But this is an actual like 24/7 partnership, and it needs to have good energy and good relationship.
They become
fit.
an extension of each other. That
Wow.
is, and so you know, I could spend hours talking about this, to be honest, guys, because I've learned so much.
You've gone down the
3
science
years.
rabbit hole on all this stuff.
Yes, but more so, it's just the overall understanding of what you're building here, right? And we didn't even get into the fact that, and you're going to love this. So our dogs, Bridget, our director of training, that's who was speaking there, is absolutely phenomenal. And our training staff, and they continue to work on educating themselves, whatnot, constantly. But she rewrote our curriculum right as I was starting. And everything that our dogs are engaged with on a daily basis from a training point of view is steeped in our MBSR program, mind, body, spirit relationship. Every single day, our dogs are engaged by their primary trainer in mind, body, spirit, and relationship activities. And then we transfer that to the veteran with helping the veteran understand that these are core principles. These are core pieces of the interaction with your dog that you have to engage with every single day for this dog to really thrive, right? We lay the foundation for the dog to become a service dog. It's the veteran's responsibility to become a great service dog team. So it's also our responsibility to educate our veteran on how to become a service dog handler.
So you're training
which
them.
is
Yeah.
challenge.
Oh, that's
it's
super challenging.
hard work.
Yeah,
It's hard,
because you're
which
adding
is-
responsibility to their plate, right?
which is also why so we're mobility based. Just for all the listeners out there, we are very unique in what we do from a service dog organization.
Yeah, I think most service dog organizations, it's like training to follow commands, and that's like the focus
Well,
of
but
everything.
they're also, for the veteran side of things, they're heavily focused. It's 98.3% of service dog organizations serving veterans are focused on PTS service dogs.
Okay.
Absolutely needed. Like,
Oh, and you guys are
Absolutely.
mobility, so actually
We are mobility.
helping pick up
so
things.
our
grab things.
guys, the veterans that we serve are going to be amputees. They're going to be, wheelchair bound, paralyzation, whatnot. So they also, obviously our service dogs also perform the PTS interruption. So nightmare interruption, anxiety interruption, social anxiety interruption. But on top of that, the retrieval aspect of things, what our dogs can retrieve and pick up is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, Joe has Bravo out in Ohio, and Bravo can go get his prosthetic leg
Oh, that's cool.
because we put a handle on it. So like if Joe is downstairs and forgot his leg upstairs and his wife or kids aren't home, it's like Brav knows how to go up there, get it, bring it down, not damage it. We put the handle in a way that it's not going to tear his leg. So, I mean,
So you service people all over the country.
we serve nationwide. Our veterans are nationwide.
That's great.
And that's, again, another big challenge. That's why all of our dogs train here at our facility. That little facility that you saw, we're getting ready to move into a new one by the end of the year. So we're going from 1,700 square feet to 17,000 square
Holy
feet.
moly, where are you going? Where's this thing at?
Crestwood.
Oh, Crestwood.
Right on Watson.
Oh, for the old Crestwood Mall used to be? That area?
Down the road. Yep. Right down the road, right on
okay.
Watson. But we have an acre of property behind us too.
Nice.
So the training, right now, 1,700 square feet with 300 square feet of backyard, if you will.
Oh.
But what our training staff has done with that 1,700 square feet is remarkable. But we're limited with the amount of dogs we can train in that facility. So the renovations on the new facility are fully on their way. That'll allow us to house 15 dogs in that facility. So we can expand the number of veterans we serve. But again, you have to have the mobility need, right? And significant mobility need. But my challenge, I'm now the executive director, but I'm still retaining the job of director of veteran services as well. I was the first veteran they hired. We are very much a grassroots organization, started in 2014. Totally grassroots. So you guys know it takes time to understand how to build that and what your process looks like. In the past couple of years, we have really hit our stride. We have the right people in place from an administrator. We're lean and mean on the executive side because obviously we're very aware of the donor dollars and we want the majority of our money going to training the dogs and
Yeah.
serving our veterans.
Yep.
Because you heard Bridget allude to it in the message. Our veterans don't pay a dime ever for anything. We cover everything. The training of the dog, which is going to be about $50,000 because it's 20 to 24 months to train a mobility-based service dog. It's significant. On top of that, we take care of all the veterinary care, the food, the annual training, the equipment, you name it. So veterans travel in, we take care of their airfare. We get them in a hotel. We take care of their food. Like they just don't, again, this is a huge resource for them. We don't ever want the financial aspect to be a burden to take away something that could be so significant to helping them achieve their independence and freedom again, especially when we're dealing with mobility-based veterans that are struggling to get out and really feel confident in moving through the world again. That's what we're providing, right? We're providing that sense of confidence. Now, the flip side of that is you get individuals out there that hear, oh, free dog.
Oh,
I need
sure.
some of that.
Yeah.
So you've got to do some vetting. You've got to do some
I do
vetting.
a lot of vetting.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. Like to manage another living being, you have to a certain degree be able to manage your own life. So, if you just throw a dog at a veteran that the veteran's just a complete disaster and can't care for anything. And
He's going to abuse the dog.
yeah, the dog,
Yeah.
and not necessarily intentionally,
Yeah,
right?
just
Like
the
they
dog's
can't
going to
care.
suffer or whatever.
So
it is.
there's a significant balance that has to be understood. And I've typically, when I decline a veteran in the program, that's Clark and Frito. Clark's amazing. He's hilarious. Dude lives on a 35-acre farm out in Virginia. farms. He's
Beautiful.
He's
Beautiful.
incredible.
I just
Great human
realized
being.
in the cut right before that with the guy with the dog, you got a guy in a grunt style shirt. It's the DILF shirt.
Oh,
your
that's about
commercial.
right. Oh,
Grunt style, baby.
by the way, you have some great grunt style shirts, and one of them brought up the point that hey, for us wheelchair bound folks, maybe you make some shirts where the best sayings are on the front and not on the back because nobody ever gets to see it. And I was like,
No, man, we've got tons of them.
That's what I told them. I said,
get them a
they have
shit show
plenty.
supervisor. Like, that's right
Anybody
across
in
the
your program, that wants to come here to the warehouse and go through the stuff and get whatever they want, and that includes you, feel free.
come on.
Feel
Awesome.
free, man.
They'll love
And
that.
So tell us how people can reach you, donate, sign up for any events that you have going on.
So if you go to our website, it has a ton of great information on it. We've really expanded that over the last couple of years, but dfob.org, you can find out how to contribute, whether it's time, treasure, or talent. If you want to volunteer, if you're a veteran and you want to learn more, specifically if you're a mobility-based veteran, the application process is online. I'm the one that's going to handle that. But there's a ton of great information there. Our YouTube channel has incredible videos and testimonials from nobody tells our story better than our veterans that we serve. They speak to the change that has occurred in their life as a result of the work they've done with their service dog. Just to capitalize on that piece, though, we're in it for the life of the veteran. So we have we actually are getting ready to place, we just finished the pairing process for a successor dog for one of our first veterans that came through the program.
Oh, wow.
So our veterans, once they're in, as long as they stay within good standing and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and handling their dog properly, they're going to continue to receive dogs from us as long as they need them. So we are absolutely, and that's a big change I had made after I started. I stopped referring to us as a service dog organization. We referred to us as a veteran service organization. Like, we are here to serve the veterans first, right? We just get to do so through the incredible gift of these dogs, right? The gift of love of these dogs. That's how we get to connect with our veterans. But we're here to serve the veteran and their family. So that lifelong commitment is significant. We build great relationships with them. That also comes with significant challenges. But you can see a lot of their stories on our YouTube channel. We're on all the social media platforms. You go to Dogs for Our Brave with, Facebook or Instagram. I think we're on X too. Although I never see that account, but yeah. But lots of different way to view and connect with us and see who we are and what we're trying to do and ultimately where we're going, right? The organization, like I said, has been around since 2014, but the last couple of years, like, we're really hitting our stride and we're in a position that we understand who we are. We've learned a lot of lessons. As I built those relationships with those veterans, I asked the hard questions. I'm like, all right, where are we hitting and where are we missing? Right? We can't fix anything if we don't know where we missed.
You gotta look.
Right? And that's fine. Like, who cares? Like, we're all here to grow and develop and learn. Nobody's got this, whatever gig they're in, nobody's perfected it yet. So, finding ways to change who we are in order to move forward and serve the veteran community properly. That's of huge importance. I talk about education all the time. We have 3 layers of education. As a staff, we're constantly looking to educate ourselves to improve how we go about serving the veteran community. We have to educate our veterans first and foremost, our veterans in our community that we serve, with understanding how to go about handling their service dog. And then we have the responsibility of educating our donors and and the general public about the service dog industry, what it looks like. On top of that, I just linked up with, I believe we have gone with the final name of the Veteran Service Dog Coalition. And that is thanks in huge part to Dee Dee Baker, who is the executive director of Dog Tag Buddies up in Montana. So many great service dog organizations out around this country. Like, there are great people out there doing great work. And so Dee Dee, reached out to like 70 different organizations. Because one of the biggest issues within the service dog industry, especially for veterans, is there's no standards. There's no standards within the VA, really. There's no standards federally, legally, whatnot for the service. There are the ADA requirements, but that's about it. And they're so vague. So this coalition is going to be working on language to get out in front of the VA, right? To get out in front of the federal government and start putting legitimate standards on what it means to have a service dog, what a service dog looks like, what are those standards that should be adhered to when going through the training aspects of things, certain rights for the service dog handlers, right? Because that's a nightmare. We deal with that all the time where guys are being told, well, you can't get in this Uber, you have a dog, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nope, that's actually incorrect. So, we're working in coalitions like that, again, to serve the greater good. And let's be a part of moving something. And it's not just service dog, it's service animals. So we have equine therapists that are involved. We have public policy experts that are involved in this coalition. Because we recognize all of these forces have the ability to bring something to the table to continue to move something significant within the VA to recognize how much a service animal can provide healing to those veterans and their families. It is a relationship that is extremely significant when done correctly. And that's the key part, is it's got to be done correctly. And the only way to ensure that's going to happen more often than not is to put standards in place that are, legitimized through, whether it be the VA or federal regulations. That is part of the process that needs to occur.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm glad you guys are moving forward on that. Any other events coming up that you want to talk about real quick?
No, event-wise, we only have 2 real big ones throughout the year. It's a golf tournament, and then we have our Sip and Savor event in the fall, which is a lot of fun because we bring a lot of our veterans in and whatnot. But really, we have a lot of people that hold third-party events for us, whatnot. So
great.
If you're around this
I
area.
would love to invite you all out to one of our events. We've got our integration event that happens in September. I don't know if you could, how many of the boys from the shelter there you can bring along with you to.
We'd love to.
Done. Let's do it.
We'd love to.
All
Absolutely.
Right. All right. Glad to partner with you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And then switching over to Grunt Style Foundation, what events do we have coming up? I know we've got a toast coming up. I know we've got a concert coming up. I know we've got a bunch of things.
So we've got if you go to gruntstylefoundation.org and go to the events section on the website, you can see a list of what's coming up. We have on Memorial Day, we're going to be doing a Grunt Style Foundation Memorial Day celebration concert down in Nashville, Tennessee. That is at the Nashville Palace. Again, that's you can get those tickets for that at gruntstylefoundation.org in the events section. On May the 31st here in St. Louis, we will be doing a 4-toast salute event, and this is a fundraiser for the foundation, and we're going to be funding an upcoming expedition where we're wanting to take veterans down to Peru. We're going to go to the Sacred Valley down in Peru and get some healing on down there with the some of the locals. Yeah, that's going to be coming up depending on how the fundraiser goes. I'll have more information on dates once we see how that goes. But if you want to support that, you can also get a ticket there on our gruntstylefoundation.org website on the tickets there. Tickets for the Memorial Day one here is $100 per ticket. It is a fundraiser. And the tickets for the Nashville Palace is $35 for your general admission tickets. And I believe there's still some VIP tickets maybe available, but we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for that. So that's what's happening in GSF land.
Awesome. Sounds good. So we've got, in the Irreverent Warriors world, we've got the Indiana retreat that we just discussed with Stacy. That is happening May 15th. We've got Columbus, Ohio, Silky's Hike, May 16th. We've got Fort Worth, May 16th. Salt Lake City, May 16th. Philly, May 16th. And then Milford, Massachusetts, outside of Boston, May 23rd. And then we've got Casper, Wyoming, May 23rd. And then Normandy on the 30th of May. And the commander of the VFW, Carol, and her crew, they're flying out to go to Normandy, France, to go to the Normandy Silky's Hike. So that's going to be really cool.
Was they doing something else in the neighborhood around that time that lined up, or
something related to D-Day?
That's pretty doggone cool.
Yeah, but they're going to be out there, and she's going to be talking at the Silky's Hike. So that's fantastic.
Right on. I love this. I love how supportive the VFW is of IW.
Yes,
they are
absolutely.
They have been genuinely amazingly gracious in every interaction.
Absolutely. And then we've got Kansas City, May 30th, and then the Toast Salute that you were talking about, May 31st.
That's right.
And then we've got Operation Ozarks Canoe and Kayak Adventure on June 6th.
Coming to that, Brian?
I might.
On June 5th, 6th, and 7th.
I'm not in the volleyball gym coaching my kid.
Bring the
5th,
kid.
6th, and 7th on the Current River, which is a gorgeous part of the Ozarks.
It is beautiful.
Crystal clear water, fish everywhere. So, but yes, thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy your wonderful weekend, and we will catch you next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stay waxy, everybody. Toodaloo.